everyone, and welcome to Cosmic Conversations. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and you're watching us right here on the Conscious Awakening Network. Now, tonight, our guest is Dr. Joan, widely known as Joan of Angels. Now, she's a transformational leader, she's an intuitive guide, a visionary artist, and she is dedicated to helping individuals awake to their highest potential. Now, she is also the creator of esoteric chiropractic, which I hope you'll talk about in a few minutes, Joan. But she specializes in aligning the body, mind, and spirit with higher dimensional frequencies for profound healing and transformation. Joan is also noted for her soul portraits, divinely inspired works of art that capture the essence of one's soul mission and their celestial connections. Now, she is renowned for her angelic insights and her healing presence, and she inspires global audiences to embrace their unique gifts and live with purpose and joy. And tonight, Joan is going to talk with us about the art of miracles, awakening your soul's potential in the 3D world. So, Joan, hello, 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 and welcome. How are you?
I am so happy to be here, Sheila, and
Well,
talking about miracles, which is my favorite subject.
yay. Well, we are
And
happy to have you here too. Before we start, however, I do want to share just a tidbit of information with people. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Here we go. I just want to remind people that on December 7th and 8th, we are having the Divine Feminine Celestial Awakening Workshop. So if you have not already checked it out, please do so. We have some absolutely phenomenal speakers coming up. Now, until our website gets back up, that's one of the problems with coding. When something goes down, it's down. So until we get our website back up in a couple of weeks, then we need you to go to Eventbrite and type in the Divine Celestial, the line, the can't talk tonight, Divine Feminine Celestial Awakening Workshop, and that will pop up. So check it out. We'd love to have you, and we look forward to seeing you there. And Joan, that's having you on here reminded me of that with your divine celestial presence. And I'm excited to hear what you got to share with us tonight.
well, thank you very much, Sheila. I'm very excited to be here too. I first of all, I've had such a life change, everyone. I have moved all around the world, 2.5 years of traveling, and I have finally found kind of home. It's a it's a home that's going to be a home base for the next few years. And it's exciting to me to report on that because it's taken a long time to feel like I could stop. And so that's the first thing that's new. All right.
So, what's the next thing?
Well, this the next thing. So as I was saying before people came on, I had a chance to go through several hurricanes this year, which really shook up my soul. I went through the dark night of the soul during the first one, which wasn't even a hurricane, it was a tropical storm. But to me, it was the end of the world. And during that time, my mission was to rewrite my book, The Miracle Makers Club. So here I am in Florida going through a dark night of the soul, and I suddenly remember the hurricane's about to happen, and I remember I'm supposed to edit this book. It was first published in 2005, and a whole lot's happened since then. So I couldn't believe I had to rewrite this book. And as I dived in, storms out there storming away, I'm and I need miracles by then because it was a dark night of the soul. So you understand that you're calling forth miracles. And at first I thought I wasn't equipped as I rewrote this book and edited it. First of all, I couldn't believe how good it was and how helpful the processes were. And I went through every process because I was rewriting the book and editing it. And so by the time I was done, like things started to shift for me. It's really crazy. But by rewrite, it was like spirit had designed that I was going to do that as part of my transition period. So the book is great. It's great because it talks to you about how you can transform. And there I was as I was writing at this time, going through a transformative journey. So I find that somehow very special. Can't quite put my finger on it, but very, very special. So the book itself really talks about how to manifest miracles and how to shift your consciousness, your vibratory frequency, so that you attract that which you're seeking. And I love that concept of attracting, the universe wants us to succeed, and it's out there waiting for you to like become electric, activated, so that you can attract all of that. And so I give the exact steps to it. And I already talk about triumph over tragedy, how your tragedy is there to help strengthen you again, because we of our angelic realms are resilient. These challenges are just designed to make us stronger. And even though when you're in it, it may not feel like that. So I talk about different things. One of my favorite things that I talk about is catching the miracle wave. And when you catch the miracle wave, it's like surfing. Now, I'm not a surfer. I have watched the surfers, but I watch them getting ready to catch that wave, right? And isn't that what we do? We get ready, we start to prepare, we get excited about where we're going. And we start to visualize and we do all this inner work. And before you know it, we've caught a wave and synchronicities happen like this. Good things start to happen. They roll in because you created the buzz, the frequency, and then you just keep going. And that's when you're really in the presence of a miracle. So I think that that's something really important to share, Sheila. So the other thing I really love about the book is that it gives you a chance and opportunity to focus every day on your daily miracles, on what's important to you. And I talk about one other concept that's so important. I talk about miracle allies and miracle busters. And I have you look at your life. Who in your life has supported you? So you get a brilliant idea and you get all gung ho and you go and you tell who? Well, some people you tell are very excited for you. Those are your miracle allies. Other people are just, all they could come up with is the reasons why it won't work. So I call those your miracle busters. And I really encourage you not to share your dreams and hopes and desires with your miracle busters and seek people like here, like Sheila's tribe, like, conscious connections here, that people who can support you in your dreams, your visions, and where you're going. And that is another way, because there's a third way I'm going to talk about, and that's collaborating. That's working with others. So when I formed the original Miracle Makers Club, it's really shocking to think about it. I had lost everything for the first time. I had lost everything twice, but I'd lost everything. And I was destitute and in a panic. And I turned to my kids. We formed a group. We started masterminding together. So here I was masterminding with a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old about how we can still have miracles coming into our life, even though we had no money and we weren't thriving. And every night we would visualize what we wanted. My daughter was the secretary because she had the best handwriting. My son was the activities coordinator, and I guess I was the CEO of this Miracle Makers Club. And my daughter, the precious thing, when the book came out, first of all, years ago, before the book came out, when we were still doing it, one day she says, "Mommy, can we go around the world and teach people how they could be miracle makers so they don't have to suffer like we did?" So it's all here in the book. It's very inspiring. And I was just, and it saved my life again. So that's all I can say. The Miracle Makers Club with my kids saved my life back in 1998 when we started having those issues. And rewriting the book in 2024 reinvented my life. So I highly recommend the book.
Beautiful. Now, Joan, what's your favorite part of the book?
Oh God, what a question. Okay, so the whole, you know, as I kept reading it, every part just so surprised me to go back to something I wrote in 2005. It just surprised me. So Um, the best favorite part of the book, I think, is when I talk about how my worst nightmares came true. And I went into my worst nightmares and how they came true and how we managed to, again, learn the lessons and have the positive outcomes. And that's one of the things I learned, that you even, it doesn't matter what it looks like. In the end, there's always an overarching reason that's very compelling.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So now in this book, I know tonight you said we're going to talk about the art of miracles and awakening to the soul's potential. So I was wondering, do you have like a favorite exercise in the book you want to share with us? I think that would be kind of cool to, you know,
Yes,
let people
that's kind of,
get an idea
oh,
and a feel.
uh-huh, okay, that's absolutely perfect. So give me a second to just think about that for a second. And and so one of the things about the book that I really like is that we can talk about how you can change your energy. And I have you do exercises at the end of many of the chapters that have you change it. So, for instance, we talk about depression. And so, depression is anger turned against yourself and deep sorrow. Actually, depression is deep sorrow and anger turned inside here. So, I talk about different things and I say, I have you look at, okay, who are you angry with? Are you angry or who we look at what's causing your depression. So it's who are you angry at? What can you change today? What can you let go of? And I have you evaluate. What do you have the ability now to recreate? If you were going to design this situation in a new way, what would that look like? How would you recreate that? And then what did you learn from that? So, what did you learn from that interaction? So, it's a way of transforming your emotions and your energy into something that gives you a lot more grace and ease. So, then I talk about what projects could you do right now? I mean, I want you to, as you read through the book, I really want you thinking about where you are today. But here is something that I thought was really cute too. If you could wave your magic miracle wand. So I always believe we have these miracle wands. If you could, Pat, wave your magic miracle wand, what would you want to create? What would you change to get your life back in shape so you become your own godmother? Like Cinderella's godmother, you can become your own godmother. You can wave your wand and start to shift that energy into transformation and change. So I think that's one of the things. And I talk about nutritional shifts to also feel better, have more energy and vitality, getting off of processed foods, getting off of sugars, introducing superfoods into your diet, foods that change your energy. But before we do that, I have you look at how you're feeling and what is your energy now as we work on changing and shifting that. So I think that's something you can look at now. One of the big things I love to do is ask you on a scale of 1 to 10. So imagine we have a horizontal line with a 0 here and a 10 here, and it goes like this. And so we start asking on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your energy right now? So think about it, guys. What's your energy on a scale of 1 to 10? Is it a 4? Is it an 8? Is it off the chart? Like Sheila and I running off, so excited at 9 o'clock. What's your energy? And on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the energy of your relationship or your relationship with yourself? On a scale of 1 to 10, how settled do you feel in your home? How comfortable is it for you? How and it's ways of if it's not an 8, 9, or 10, that's an indication that it might need to be changed. And so that's one way I look at the discernment scale. And I look and see how this house resonates for me, how your house resonates for you, and so how your lifestyle resonates. And so that really gives you good keys into what might need to be transformed. And when you do these processes, you will find you attract the miraculous. You attract synchronicities, you attract money, you attract good people into your life, and really a shift in energy. So that's what I like.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, I have a quick question on the same lines, but a little bit differently. I know you do soul portraits. And if someone had a soul portrait, I don't know, say maybe a year or two ago, and they've been undergoing a dark night of the soul, or they've had some phenomenal events to occur, um, tell me about how you see their soul portrait shift. Because I just think that's fascinating.
That is very fascinating, and that's actually an excellent question. So it is interesting. Today I had a session with a guy that had his soul portrait done almost 2 years ago. And he's gone through a major change in his life, and he just moved. So I didn't see the painting. But as I was working with him today, I was actually feeling the energy of the art over him, and with him realizing that now he's more in a place to be that person that that painting reflects.
Uh,
So in one way, in this particular case, it's like he caught up to the vision of who he is from then to now. So like I wouldn't change his painting at all because it actually reflects what he's actually stepped into. So sometimes I think the art is a little ahead of the time. It's a
mm,
little ahead of you because it's the best version of yourself. It's the one you're striving for. It's not perfection because we can't necessarily have quote perfection, but it's as close to perfection in a way of that true vision that's even beyond your concept of how powerful you really can be.
yeah, yeah.
And so I think you step into the energy of the portrait. And it's not so much, I haven't yet seen a case of where I looked at the person, looked at the portrait and said, oh, hmm, it's all shifted. And I
Mm,
do see some of so that hasn't happened at this point.
okay,
It could. It could
right.
because we are constantly growing and evolving.
Yeah.
And I may have caught you at one particular level, and maybe you've gone up two or three more dimensions.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
was going to say,
possible.
do you think maybe it's because you're actually capturing the frequencies that are embedded in
Oh,
the
yes.
holographic field?
Yes, I am. I'm capturing those frequencies that are embedded in that field. And so actually, and that's eternal because it has nothing to do with you in this physicality. Anton. So I think that's a perfect assessment of it. Yes, because it's capturing the essence, and it's an essence of your most powerful selves. And I do a video first. So I create really sometimes 30, 40, 50 images come through. And I
Hmm.
do these now digitally, guys, because it just works really better. So I do them digitally, and I'll have maybe 30 images, but I curate them down to the most important, the most impactful. Some of them
Hmm.
are past lives, some of them are future lives, some of them are multidimensional. And then I put them in a little video. I create a cute little slideshow video of those soul aspects. And the session we have when we go through that video is really fun because you can see all aspects of yourself. I have some on my website. I have in the services on my, not on my website, but on YouTube. You'll see the one I did with Elizabeth April. And she's allowed me to share that. So you'll see Elizabeth April on a motorcycle in the galaxy. Like that's one aspect of herself. It wasn't the aspect that we chose because the aspect that she chose was a lot higher, more comprehensive version of it. But we captured her as an angel. We captured her in one of her past lives. We captured her on this motorcycle through, flying through the galaxy
Mhm.
until we got there. So I think that's also a very profound part of the process.
Yeah. So, I know you've gone all over the world and you've done these soul portraits everywhere. Do you ever find like that there's kind of like a common theme or something because you work with a lot of spiritual people. So I think what I'm asking is, do you see a common thread with like a soul mission? Do you see the soul missions?
So the people that have their soul portraits done feel a sense of soul mission.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always about service. It's always about having mastered some gifts and service. Like with Elizabeth April, I could see her flying around the galaxy, with her motorcycle and her sword, freeing humanity. And that's one of her overarching soul purposes. And so some of the other people, I have one woman I worked with, Audrey, and her video is up there also. And I kept getting this like Harry Potter figure. We didn't choose out because that wasn't the final one, but the Harry Potter figure was really cute and it had her in glasses. And the painting that she chose in the end, she doesn't even wear glasses, but I kept seeing her with glasses. And she actually chose one of the interdimensional pieces that had her in glasses. It was so beautiful that it was like she had extra deep vision and kind of a very amazing portrait at that. I'm always surprised. I'm just always surprised because that these images come through is just exciting.
Yeah, yeah. What's the most exciting one that you've come across?
Well, I think the one I did with Elizabeth April was the most exciting one because I know her work. I was able to every so often catch her on YouTube and sort of watch her for a while. It's not everyone I get to watch. I have an initial session with you, and then I go into sort of my own creative space for 10 days, say a week to 10 days. But with Elizabeth, actually it took me longer, but I kept seeing her all over the web and that gave me, I just would go deep dive as I'm listening to her and I'd get new visions. So I think I found her the most fascinating. And because I'm intimately connected with her work, I know her work. So I really loved that one.
Awesome. 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 Okay, so let me ask you, do you have any kind of like a future vision, if you will, for where your work's going? Because I know a lot has changed with you, and you're now doing the esoteric chiropractic and a whole plethora of other things. Have you kind of seen a vision of where the new Joan is headed?
You always ask like the right questions. So what's happening for me is that my Dr. Joan self has been coming back out.
Mm-hmm.
My practical side, I even have a white Dr. Joan jacket. That's pathetic. But my more practical healing self has been coming out. And I like that. And I've been working more, say, with people with their businesses and doing some business consulting and business coaching. And it's a side of me I haven't used for like 20 years, 25 years, and I'm finding it balancing. And I do the esoteric chiropractic. So when I do the esoteric chiropractic, that's a combination of energy healing. And so one of the things that I used to always love to do is I could always feel where pain was on people. I couldn't consciously, but I could just running my hands. And so I do a combination of a session with the energy running and the energy healing. And then we talk about what your body is lacking and what your body really needs. And then I have you talking to your body. You see, we don't talk to our body enough. We don't activate our body. We don't say, oh, yes, now it's time for us to come in harmony, all cells working in harmony with each other. And that in itself, guys, is extremely important part of healing. And one of the things about chiropractic healing, I don't know if you guys know about it, but the true essence of chiropractic is it it'll do the adjustment, do your Atlas adjustment right here. It opens up the gateway between innate intelligence, that's what they call it in chiropractic, but it could be your higher self. It could be your soul essence coming through, and it connects once all the obstacles are removed. It just comes in and fills your body with healing energy because your body actually wants to be in a state of health. It knows how to heal itself from the inside out if we don't interfere. So my love of chiropractic has really come back. My love of this concept of healing from the inside out. And you can take all the vaccines you want, pharmaceuticals, but it's not going to heal you. And so I've become very, I think, going back to some of my original philosophies that I had developed and then embodying them myself as well. And so that's also been a real treat. And we're getting great results. So that also is really good and fun. And I can do it in person and I can do it on Zoom. And it will help you to relieve pain, relieve some anxiety. It'll help you feel more balanced. And that's important also, and have more vitality. I think one of the things I see that people are lacking is vitality. And even when I do that scale of 1 to 10, were there any of you that were, 5 or below? It's like this, the world around us isn't designed to make you healthy. If you want health, it's up to you. And if you're not feeling in your highest energetics, we have to turn up your switch. I call it the miracle mastery switch, where you turn up your healing switch, which you can do. And so I teach you how to do that as well. We can all do that. We have a miracle mastery switch. You can envision actually a little dial right here, and you can turn it off and you can turn it on. And I do that. We do that in conjunction. Well, we can do it right now. So if any of you were like a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10 with your energy, where you're not a 10, just imagine now just turning up that dial, turning up that energy, turning it up, turning it up. And then if you do that enough, you actually can feel yourself having more energy in that way.
Awesome. Well, yeah, because we're co-creators of our own reality, right? And
Yes,
so
we
what
co-create it.
we think, we're putting into action. So let me ask you another question. Again, the name of your presentation tonight, The Art of Miracles, Awakening to Your Soul's Potential. I was just wondering, what is it that you see as the soul's potential?
Wow, another great question, Sheila. So the soul's potential is that which you came in to do, and the possibilities that come with that. And potential means that it's in the field. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make it and do that. It's a potential. So I kind of have an image that when we come down here, we volunteer, and I tell my clients we come down with a clipboard, and the clipboard has everything, all the tools in your toolkit. It tells you, oh yeah, these are the things you've specialized in. You have gifts, telepathy, you're clairvoyant, you're this, you're compassionate, you can do all these things. And then it's for you to start to remember how powerful you are to remember these gifts. So the field of potentiality, I think, is the greatness that you could be. That there's a difference, I think, between fate and destiny. It's like fate could be what they read in the cards. But destiny is what you call in and say, I'm going to do it. And I've struggled with that a lot. I've been told certain things about my life and where I could go, and which requires me to be a leader and very strong and very powerful. And I struggle with that because honestly, I really would like to hide in the closet the other part of the time. And so I think we all struggle with certain aspects of even our greatness or our potential. And so it's all about learning how to break free. When I did my Miracle Mondays, oh my God, every week I'd have a little resistance. And And I had a friend who died right the night I started my first Miracle Monday, a really good friend. And he was on his way out to visit me and he died. And every Monday when I get like nervous, I'd see him in my hallway standing up here with like two swords. It's like, no, you're not running back that way. You're going to go forward. And he would always be a reminder to me that no, you're going to do it. You're fine. You're going to be okay. So, in my way, also, I think my point is we have the potential to do everything. Everything that you're dreaming that you can do is really within your field. It's just a matter of whether you're going to step up and do it. Or for me, whether I step up and lead and be that leader that I can be. And I think we all have that shadow side that also gets in the way, or we have those doubts. And so, I wrote the book this summer. When I rewrote it, it really anchored in again, I think this new phase for me of my next steps.
Awesome. 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 Now I have another question for you. So, as people are reading your book, I know it's designed to help support people along their path, but I am going to imagine that people that are right on that cusp of a spiritual awakening may have an awakening. So, what advice do you have for people if that happens, and how can people begin to navigate a spiritual awakening? Because I know it shows up differently for everyone, but I'm sure you've got some key components in there to help folks.
Well, when you start to wake up and you realize that some people have a quick wake up like Sheila did, she suddenly realized who she was. And that was a kind of a different kind of experience. But some people go into chaos and panic, and it could be quite shocking. And I think at that point, when you first have that wake up, it is a good idea to have a mentor or have a spiritual teacher or take a few classes so you can start to learn how to control and work with these energies that are coming through you. So for some people, so for instance, when I first started waking up, when I was a chiropractor, it was a sort of slow wake up. I would go to my psychic for readings. In those days they had cassette recorders. I'm dating myself. You'd bring your cassettes and she would tape it. I remember the day that I blew out every single tape recorder. She probably had 5 of those old-fashioned cassette tapes. Somehow my energy was so unhinged and chaotic that it destroyed the functioning of her tape recorders. And that can happen. It can happen when you're not in touch with it. You don't know how to work with that energy. I thought I was so excited. I'm going, oh, I'm so powerful. Look, I blew out her electric. What I didn't realize is that I was so chaotic and so out of control because I didn't know how to manage it. And she never explained that to me. And that would have been helpful if I understood that how my energy was. And for a long time, that was one of the things I had to learn to manage was my energy. So I think that there's a lot of energies that will start to come through you and start to shift. And I think having a mentor would really help. Meditating is really an excellent way to start to work with that and working with your energy. Going to a healer and having Reiki done, or having someone like Sheila working with you, going through even past life regressions and deep hypnosis to look at some of your other lifetimes and some of what's going on for you is also really helpful. Getting a perspective. So I think it's a great time for readings, to like dive in and open your consciousness to seeing more and to being able to connect to your guides.
Okay, I am just kind of looking at, it says, can I still get a painted portrait on canvas?
Oh, on canvas.
Mm-hmm. Do you do
Well,
those?
I have good news for all of you. I had a little reading the other day with my friend Carolyn Ford, who has Einstein, and I was interviewing her, and Einstein said to me, oh, oh, he calls me the angel queen lady. And he says, I'm looking forward to seeing the portrait of the angel queen lady. And because he calls me the angel lady and the queen angel lady. Okay, so I said, well, I don't have my art supplies yet. I haven't started painting again. And he said, well, it will happen sooner than you think. So what I take that to mean is that at some point I will, yes, but not yet.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I
And
want
I
to,
guess the first one is me, just so you know.
okay, so you're going to do your portrait.
Yes, apparently that's my assignment from Einstein to Crystal Skull.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. All right. I have to just ask. Now, I haven't watched all of them, and I don't know if you even, watched any of the recent congressional hearings on the UFOs. But regardless of that, without going into any of the particulars or anything, we're coming upon a time now where we are really rapidly moving towards awakening our star families back onto the planet. I was wondering if you have any advice for people who are really looking to connect with their families.
Well, first of all, we are in extraordinary times. These are the times
Hmm.
we've been like praying for,
Yeah.
literally. And I think we had a discussion. It's like some of us are waiting to see them physically arrive in our field. And as much as I say that I want to see them arrive physically, and I think when I remember this conversation in your living room, it's like there's a fear as well of connecting with our star family in the physical realm. And yet our star family is nothing but love for us. So it's really a process, I think, of preparing ourselves for contact, preparing our minds, trying to connect with them, trying to really work with them. And if you can't connect with them, find someone who can help you connect with them, like Sheila. She's amazing at doing that. And we have lots of people in this group that do that, but you want to really see if you can start to connect, either hear them or see them with your inner eye, have conversations with them, find out, what, and do some research online, like what qualities are here
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
you. And you can be of service to your family and friends who are definitely going to be a little bit more freaked out because they may have, even though the majority of Americans believe that ETs exist, I don't think they're ready for an ET to come in their living room.
Like Barbara. I'll
Like,
never forget.
right? She said that. Oh my God, that was
Yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah,
Right?
so Barbara shares a story about she had been outside watering the plants and she just came into her living room and there stood a reptilian man. And, most of us would have turned and run right back out the door or had an instant laundry problem or passed out or whatever. But little Barbara, she just goes right up to him and sticks out her hand to shake his hand. And, that's the kind of contact that I'm hoping that we all can have because she has such that inner child excitement about her. And so I'm starting to preface this more and more as, time gets closer and closer because some of the major channelers, psychics, my collective, there's a lot of beings that are talking that contact is likely at the end of 2026. And that just gives us a little over 2 years to begin to prepare for that. And
Right.
as we begin to prepare, we need to know how we're going to feel. It's going to be hard for all of us to be way showers if we're running in the opposite direction.
Well, right, right. So actually, we can role play. Like
Absolutely.
but when you prepare ahead of time,
Mhm.
then you won't run because
Right.
you're prepared. So I love that we can all do like Barbara Lamb did. Okay, I'm going to go up and shake their hand, even if they look different than me. But
Yeah.
you also put out your feelers and you can feel the energy. So Barbara felt that the energy felt safe because she's pretty in
Mhm.
tune, and it felt like a good thing to go up and connect with him.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that, especially with some of the outcomes of the congressional hearing, that we now are going to start to hear more and more about different types of craft. Especially, they seem to be a little mesmerized about, some of the underwater craft. And, they now have these calls for, transparency. Of course, they've been calling for transparency for a long time. And I remember the first time we heard it about 3 years ago, it's like, yes, it's coming, it's coming. It's like, well,
Oh,
3 years later, they're still calling for transparency. But that really calls into mind not just for, the ufology community and for us to begin to look for our star families, but also to really take a look at ourselves, because regardless of what form we take, whether it's a reptilian, an Arcturian, or a human, we're all having these soul experiences. And so that's what everything is about, these soul experiences. So as we start to think about that, I think that's going to help us to also be able to open up a little more and a little, maybe a little wider in our heart. And Joan, I bet you've got some great grounding exercises and things in your book too, that if people start to go through your processes, that it's just naturally going to start grounding them. And I think that's kind of what we have to do, is literally be grounded. We have to take a hard look at ourselves, work with that. And I think that naturally grounds us. What do you think, Joan?
no, I think that does. And I think being prepared grounds us. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, here we are 2 years ahead of time, and we're talking about, okay, imagine, imagine that behind Sheila, we see this tall reptilian coming in. Or right in your living room, you see a tall white coming in. I have seen a tall white once, but he didn't come too close. He was like 20 feet away. And and it was really interesting. He was beautiful. I mean, he was absolutely beautiful, but he was 20 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't look like he was walking towards me, but I think imagine a tall reptilian or a tall white coming in your living room, or a gray. How would you respond? And start to think about that so that the day it happens, you won't be so shocked. I'm sure that we're going to start to see them on TV at some point. But the problem is that contact has happened with we the people.
Mm-hmm.
We the people have had contact already. Probably the government has too. They just have not shared that with us, but it's not new. We are prepared far more than the general population,
Right.
I think, for extraterrestrial contact and to be ambassadors and to be connected with our soul family. I think we have no idea how powerful that's going to really be.
Yeah. 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 And when we're talking about our soul families and our star families and all of that, it's really exciting to think about, because, and my belief, and I echo that in my new book that I've done, the Cosmic Convergence with Barbara. But, you know, we really talk about how that we are all connected. And the reality of it is, this was not our planet originally anyway, you know? So we as humans really have come from somewhere else. Very few of us are earthlings. Most of us are, interdimensional beings or extraterrestrial beings, or we come straight from source, or we're in the higher dimensions. So, when we come into human form, there's a challenge there because we have that veil of forgetfulness. But more and more people are waking up, remembering who they are at the soul essence. So I'm thinking that that may also help us to be able to welcome in our star families.
I think so. I think the more that we recognize who we are, the easier it's going to be to bring in
Mm-hmm.
your star family and to connect.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had an experience with Vivian Chauvet, at the Portal to Ascension conference in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to stare I was interviewing her, and she had that her Arcturian being behind her. And that night I went home and I started seeing her family, and I started creating all the beings that are in her family. I did a whole lot of art, and I showed, I worked with her, showed it to her, because some of them were her family. And so some of these beings coming in are going to be your soul family,
Yeah.
which you're a part of. And I think that we're so fortunate to have the trainings that we're getting here.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I know we've kind of gone around and around and talked about so many different subjects tonight. Was there anything in particular that you wanted to talk about that I did not bring up? Because you would say one thing, and I'm like, oh, and Joan, I had to ask all these questions. But was there anything that you wanted to bring forward that we didn't touch on tonight?
Well, we live in interesting times, guys. We are in the most exciting period of human history right now. As Sheila says, we're going to have extraterrestrial contact. That means that we're going to begin to learn about our true history,
Mhm.
the history of the planet, the history of our people, the history of how powerful we are. And I think and the history of how we can heal with new healing, the med beds coming in, and this new earth. So I think we are facing the most exciting of times.
Mhm.
And so that's something I want everyone to think about, is that we are definitely facing the most exciting of times.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, I got another question for you. So it's just kind of popped in. We've talked about kind of where you were, what you're envisioning for the future for Joan, what you're stepping into, your new book. What do you think, or is your hope? What is your hope for the legacy that you're going to leave here on the planet?
When I think of my legacy, I think of my son. It's like I've given him this assignment that, oh, this art, you're going to be curating your mom's work. You're going to be fielding your mom's work. And then I could think of someone like Dolores Cannon, who really has left a legacy, and with her daughter carrying on her work. So I think what my gift to the planet, I think, comes through my art. It
Mhm.
really does. It comes through the art has channels through me. That's very concrete. These images of the other side, these images of the mystical landscapes. I think that my ability to capture some of that has been really, really extraordinary. And I think that I think I've made a difference. I feel like when I traveled around the planet, part of every place I went, there was some one or two women that I'd get very close to and help kind of fluff their wings. It was an instinctive thing. I would fluff their wings, kind of, or touch their hair, get them kind of feeling better in their body and soul. And so I feel like that really did make an impact as well. And I think we all make an impact every day. That's a legacy. And it comes through kindness, it comes through thoughtfulness, kindness, and having a loving heart.
Mm.
And so, I don't know. I don't know what I want people to remember about me, but I think being Joan of Angels too has given me another perspective. And I feel that sometimes I feel very resonant with Joan of Arc and her powerful mission of saving France and saving her people, and her connection to the angels. And she made a difference in this world.
Yeah,
So she made a difference.
absolutely. Absolutely. And Joan, you made a difference too. Everywhere, I think about everywhere you've gone, you've been, just emitting all these beautiful light codes and helping to share that magic all the way around the world. So good job.
It was an extraordinary time for me. It was a dream come true, traveling around the world, fluffing wings wherever I go. And I feel like, yes, it made a difference in the energy field, especially going back to Egypt and really, especially spent a few weeks with Vivian in Egypt too. I went with two different groups, really feeling changes in the energy there. And because it's such a strong, dominant male, part warrior energy over there.
Yeah,
It's not feminine at all. And and I think and there's a lot of the energy of the ETs there, especially if you're in the pyramids and the temples. You're feeling the extraterrestrial, you're feeling the Anunnaki energy.
absolutely.
And and some of it was frightening to people. It wasn't all good. It was Vivian who said, yep, they put in a compliance gene when they created us.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, beautiful. Well, Joan, thank you so much. So good to have you here again. I really appreciate you coming on. It was fun to have you last month as my co-host on Mondays, so I was excited to have you back again tonight. Get to see you.
It was really fun to be your co-host. It definitely was fun to be here with everyone and people that I recognize, and I really did love it. And I'm honored to be here tonight. I'm happy to see you all, and don't be surprised, you'll see me occasionally popping back in. There's so
Beautiful.
much love on this, Sheila. Your cosmic conversations are extremely nurturing, empowering, and besides educational.
Oh, thanks so much. Now, for people that want to reach out, maybe have a healing session or a soul portrait, how can they find you?
Everything's Joan of Angels. Just go to Joan of Angels on Instagram. Oh, I've created a new Instagram account, guys. There's now a Joan of Angels on Instagram and a Joan of Angels art on Instagram.
Mm,
And so I've taken all the art and put it on its own separate art website. I mean, not website, but Instagram. And actually, the art is on a separate site too. So, but just go to Joan of Angels and drop me a note, go to Instagram, say, hi, Joan, saw you on with Sheila. That would make me feel really good.
beautiful. And do you have any final comments for everyone tonight?
I think it's one of the things I always say is that these are the times for which we're called. And we chose to be here now, and your being here now is so important. So important. Every one of us counts now because of the consciousness you carry, the energy, the skills, the training that you've had, even if you don't remember it, it is there. And as people are going to be waking up, they're going to turn to you because you seem to know more. You've been talking about it, even if they haven't listened. So everything you're doing now is preparing you for what is coming. And so just let yourself be prepared, be guided, and train because this is an important, exciting time coming.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Joan, for being here again. Okay, everybody, you've been listening to Dr. Joan, known as Joan of Angels, on the Conscious Awakening Network. I want to thank everyone in the audience. I want to thank everyone out there on whatever platform that you're watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you. And until we're back together again, namaste and have a beautiful week, everyone. Mwah. Much
Thank
love.
you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Sheila. Much love.
Thanks. Bye bye.